Be live.
UFC 304 is here. We're also going to go over a little bit of CFL, got a little bit of golf, some Formula One, maybe some volleyball. Welcome to Props and Parlays Today. I'm Andy from WagerTalk.com, being joined, as always, by my fellow prop betting expert, Andrew McGinnis. Andrew, UFC 304 is here. Kind of crazy that maybe potentially the most boring fight of the night might be the main event. But we got some other really exciting fights. Let's talk about some props. You want to go over Molly McCann? To me, this is the weird one. I don't understand this line. Plus money, under 2.5. What are we doing with Molly McCann?
I mean, Andy, look, a lot of times I'll give out plays round 2 to start, round 3 to start in certain fights. How about the fight to be over in the first round, and then we don't even worry about who has to win this one? But I do think Molly McCann gets the edge. You know how it works when the fights are across the pond. Usually they try and plan them accordingly. But, yeah, I mean, look, let's call a spade a spade. A lot of times we're on here and we're talking about the women's fights and their parlay pieces to go the distance, right? We're looking at over 2.5 rounds for some of these. Not with her. And if you take a look at her fights, whether it's been her winning or being defeated, her last fight, submission in round 1, very, very early into that one. Then the previous fight against that one, dying minutes of the round, a submission for Molly McCann. And then, of course, she had that little mini struggles, Erin Blanchfield. Then against Hannah Goldie, she knockout TKO in round 1. She is a knockout fighter. She is a submission fighter. She is one of those fighters where you don't know if it's going to benefit her or if it's going to help her or hurt her in a big way. But her fights, they don't go very long. And I think the fact is, Andy, she puts herself in harm's way. That's the type of fighter she is. You know, when you talk about, this person's going to go out there and fight for points, she is not fighting for points ever. She's the kind of fighter that takes a punch to gain a punch, to get a punch. And that's what she does. So when I look at this matchup here, it's not just her. It's both of these fighters that have a history of kind of their fights ending a little bit early. Her opponent is coming off a decision fight, but I think overall with the fight style McCann has, the fight will be over pretty early. So let's go with the fight to end in round 1. And obviously you mentioned McCann to win in round 1 is even better.
Yeah, I love it. I would also point to Sam Patterson, Kiefer Crosby as a fight that I think is going to end in round 1. Kiefer Crosby's awful. He came in, he got a UFC contract because he bailed him out. And Andrew, his last fight was like a exhibition boxing match in something called Kingpin, except pin was spelled P-Y-N. Like what are we doing here? Why is this guy fighting in the UFC? So he got pieced up against Kevin Gisette and got submitted in round 1. And he tapped so quick, Andrew, when Gisette got his arms around his neck, he wanted out of that fight so bad. And now he's fighting Sam Patterson, who is a legit submission specialist. Sam Patterson's tall as a giraffe. He's going to have like 3 or 4 inches on him. His reach is long. I mean, those long legs and those arms are going to get around Crosby's neck. I would love to know what the odds are. Sam Patterson by submission in round 1. That's how predictable I think this fight could actually go. So if you're looking for like a pretty big plus money, I'm sure that's pretty juicy up there. But I could absolutely see it. Crosby doesn't block any punches. He doesn't have much power, so I think Patterson makes pretty quick work of him. Any other thoughts on any of the fights UFC 304?
You know, Andy, a lot of times we're cheering for knockouts, right? It's so much fun to kind of go out there and you've got round 1 knockout, you've got some of these exciting plays. But I'll tell you what, it can be exciting sometimes to cheer for over 1.5 rounds when it comes to 2 absolute bangers, and that's going to be Blades versus Aspinall. I mean, I think round 2 starts here, Andy, and it's not often for a lot of fights you get a price minus 115 for round 2 to start when you've got one fighter that in 8 of his last 10 fights you have seen round 2 start. Look, don't get me wrong. Both these guys, one shot can put someone's lights out, but these guys don't get finished really, and they don't get finished early on. So It's not really something that would shock me to see both these guys kind of feel it out. And also, they can take a hit. They can certainly take a hit. And also, I think if they take a hit, they're going to kind of step back a little bit, reset. And as much as there's all this hype going into this fight, these fighters know what's on the line here. They know what this fight means. They know what the next matchup could be for them. I don't think they're going to immediately put themselves in harm's way. So even though we know this division, we know what these guys are made of, I love when I can get a price like this for round 2 to begin. And it's not even like we're betting over 1.5. The first, 30 seconds of round 2, there could be a knockout, and I'm cool with it. It just has to start round 2 to begin, Andy. So that's one that I do like. What was one more that, I'll tell you what, you talked about boring fights. I think you said about the main. I kind of think that the Edwards and Bilal fight could go the distance. I think
Absolutely.
that they've tried to make so much smack talk about this. I don't know what it is, man. There's nothing they can do because you know what? They're trying so hard to hype up the fight because they know the fight's probably going to be the most boring fight, like you said. There's going to be prelim fights that we're betting knockouts on that are way more exciting than this one. I just think that Leon, he's proven to us that he can put someone's lights out, but he is such a good points fighter. And I think for Bilal, he's going to try and get it to the ground a little bit. I do think he's going to keep his space. Look, he wants to win, and he knows him winning is not going to be by exciting or highlight fashion by any means. Do you think Bilal can win in an exciting way? I certainly don't.
No way. I mean, Bilal throws more volume by the numbers. Like, that's the thing. Leon, he really picks his spots. He doesn't throw a ton of volume. When he does, it's accurate. It seems to do a little bit more damage. But I mean, who are these guys finished? I mean, Leon finished Usman in one of the most random, the most random head kick, ever. And Bilal, the only fight he's finished recently has been Sean Brady, who just got, tore up on the feet. He's not a boxer. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm not sure how who's finishing who in this one. I don't see Bilal finishing Leon Edwards. I don't see Leon finishing Bilal. I think these guys, the other thing, these guys, when they get to the main event, the one thing they don't want to be is a highlight for the other guy. So you end up with these tentative fights. Think of Usman's career. He's a highlight for Leon Edwards, man. As good as an amazing elite career as that guy's had, that's going to be one of the things that he's remembered by, is that he got put on a highlight reel. So I think these big fights, they end up going the distance. And yeah, whoever you like to win, I would say just take him to win by decision. If you like Leon Edwards to win, why bet him on the money line? Just bet him to win by decision. The over 4.5, Andrew, is minus 215. The books are just telling you that they expect this thing, to go the distance. So I'm with you 100% that one goes the distance. I also kind of think Bobby Green and Paddy Pimblett goes the distance. I like Bobby Green to squeak that out. I mean, how many times can we watch Paddy Pimblett be losing a fight and then pull it out of, his what? There's been several. I think most people think he lost the Jared Gordon fight. He couldn't finish Tony Ferguson, which that's a horrific look. And then, some of the other guys that he beat, he was losing to before. So I know Bobby Green's 38 years old. That's a big worry. I just think Bobby Green's elusive enough. Paddy Pimblett leaves his chin open enough. And you want to talk about a circus? What's the price on this fight being a circus? Can you imagine the crowd going nuts for Paddy Pimblett, Bobby Green, the showman that he is? I mean, there's going to be dancing in the middle of the fight, shaking stuff off. I don't know how it plays with the judges, but I mean, Bobby Green's got a lot going against him in this one, but I think he gets it done. I think it goes a distance. I think it's Bobby Green, and I really got to wonder what Paddy Pimblett has talked about, his future might be celebrity boxing. He's actually openly said that. How can you trust this guy to really get down and dirty in a UFC fight? What do you think on Paddy Pimblett, Bobby Green, one of the more polarizing fights on the card?
Yeah, Andy, I think that we're going to be able to tell within 25 seconds what kind of fight this is going to be. Like you said, we're going to know. I mean, I like what you said there. I mean, is he the kind of guy that can get – that's what bothers me about a guy that's supposed to be an up-and-coming star. Well, the UFC and the fan base is pushing it towards that. It seems like he doesn't have his best rounds until the fight's closing to being close to being over by any means. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this fight starts. As far as the number goes, Andy, on the side, I'm talking money lines. I don't like the way it's set up. I think there's nothing I like. I don't like the underdog. I don't like the favorite here. I think that, if you want to take the over, that's kind of what I would look at here. I agree with you, but I feel like something weird was going to go on in the first round. I don't know. That's why I'm staying off. Everything you said, I agree with, but something tells me, because like you said, man, nobody really, besides like the UFC pushing him, nobody thinks this guy has done anything special. And then when the UFC hands you Tony Ferguson, and the thing is, though, we can't say he didn't get the job done against him. Like, Tony was just, there was just more CTE building up, and that's just really sad to say. But that's all that happened. He didn't get his lights put out, but he pretty much was like a standing TKO. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what's going to happen. I think there's going to be a lot of swinging. I think if the fight doesn't end in the first round, the fight goes the distance.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Let's talk a little CFL. Andrew, real quick, though, tell everyone what you have up. I think you got a special going on, the Canadian football expert special going on up at WagerTalk.com. Tell us about that.
Yeah, of course, fill your cart Friday here today, 25% off any package. But this is a great deal with my compadre, Don Buster here. Two of us have been doing the CFL for quite some time. He's been doing it for a hell of a long time. He's number one all-time at WagerTalk in CFL profit. I've had 3 winning seasons, up 53 units over the last 2 years on 4% and 5% plays. And Buster has cashed at an unbelievable rate on his 5% plays. And he's off to a great start, number one this season at the website. So with college football coming up, we don't want you guys forgetting about the CFL. You guys can get Buster and myself full season, both of us, for the price of one. And this will only be good for a handful of days. So, guys, make sure you go to my page or Buster's page. You take advantage of this deal, and you'll get all of our picks sent right to your phone or your email. And we'll try not to be head-to-head. We've already talked about this. We're going to communicate. There's only 4 games a week here, guys. Usually we're on the same page. But, guys, you get every single play that Buster and I release. So I'm looking forward to it. Andy, what about you? Big plays this weekend?
Yeah, 5% play of the week is up. It's a cross-sport parlay. We've hit 9 of our last 11. We just crossed plus 83 units for the year. So all sports is going good. We've got several UFC plays as well. So we got a UFC pack that is up. Pretty low volume. We haven't had official plays on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday of this week because we've just been picking our spots, biding our time, and it's worked out great. Andrew, we talk about low volume all the time. Plus 36 units in July, just by going low volume. It's amazing what happens when you just pick the quality over the quantity. So grab the 5% play. It's still available. Lines are still up. Lines are still holding strong. So I encourage everyone to get that. And then I thought UFC 304 was very bettable. Like the last couple of UFC cards, I had play, maybe 2 plays. I think this one, there's a lot of potential plays on this one. So the UFC pack is definitely something to keep your eye on. But really a 5% play, lock that thing in. We've been running really, really hot in those. So you mentioned CFL. I had to laugh. I had to laugh at your tweet last night about the Alouettes not covering the first half, but covering the full game. Great use of the cartoon character there in the tweet. But what are you looking at for CFL this week? Strange year, man, in CFL, and I know that's kind of one of the sayings in CFL. It's like, well, every year is strange in the CFL. I don't know, man. This is a pretty bonkers, kind of year. So what are we seeing props wise in CFL?
Yeah, if I could just vent for a second, Andy, one thing that's bothered me, and this is a lesson, I guess, is that I know that long-term we're taught to always get the best of the number, right? But one thing that's kind of bothered me about myself this season is that if I can't get the best of the number, instead of just making it maybe a 2% instead of a 4%, I'm staying off. And last week, Hamilton opened plus 4.5, closed plus 3. What happens? They win outright as underdogs. And I stayed off because I couldn't get the best of the numbers. Same thing for Calgary last week, plus 4.5 opener, closed 2.5. I'll tell you what, though, right now, for the most part, the best way to make money in the CFL is wait until the game day steam comes in and then just bet the other side, because the steam and sharp movement has been horrible. Years ago, you could literally just follow the sharp money and you would be right. You'd be on the winning side. Right now, all these lines are going from, I saw a line go from -2.5 to -7, Andy, and they end up losing. I mean, it's just crazy. These teams, you have to believe in yourself. You have to trust what your lines are. And again, Buster and I release plays from Monday, Tuesday, some again on Thursday, Friday. You can get all of our plays in one package. WagerTalk.com, Buster's page or my page. Tonight, we have the Stampeders and Red Blacks going head-to-head in the CFL. You've got the Red Blacks. They're the number 3 rush defense team in the entire CFL. So we're going to start off with an under here, Andy. We're going to go with Dedrick Mills under 57.5, running back for the Calgary Stampeders. When it comes down to it, this team is a team that just drops back every single time. They do not utilize their run game very often. And when they try to early on in their drives tonight against Ottawa, I believe they're going to struggle because Ottawa's secondary has been exposed. Their pass defense hasn't been strong. They're near the bottom half in the CFL, but their rushing defense has been really, really strong. So Dedrick Mills, to me, he's going to be more of a dump off. They're probably going to check it down if they can't find anything downfield. He'll be utilized. If they offered more receivers, and I do this quite a bit on the show during the NFL season. I love betting running backs over on receiving yards, but I can't do it in this game. They're not offering it, so we'll go under. Dedrick Mills under on his rushing yards. And I'll give you one more because, hey, this is one that we should be pretty much betting every single week. If we take a look at this Edmonton Elks team, we know how many yards they're giving up through the air every week. We know that they're struggling, and yet for some reason money continues to pile in on them every single week, even though they're winless. But Bo Levi Mitchell, I was at the game last week in Hamilton. He looked great. His arm strength is there. The receivers put on a show for him. Tim White, some of these running backs too. The yards after catch were great. I'm going to look towards the Bo Levi Mitchell passing yard number over. The Elks, actually, the funny thing about the Elks is their rushing defense has gotten better. They have stepped up, but it's just been getting burnt late in drives. It's second and long on the 30-yard line and a dart into the end zone touchdown. That's how they're getting burnt. So I'm going to look for the passing yards over for Bo Levi Mitchell. At first, I'm not going to lie. I was saying, is he too old? Is he not the answer for this team? But for Hamilton, it was their defense that was bugging them. And at this point, they got a good defensive week against Toronto, and they're rewarded with a win. So we'll go Bo Levi Mitchell, guys. When that number comes out, should be around 270, I think. We'll go over that against Edmonton.
It's just unbelievable how bad they are. How can you not cover these wide receivers? It's like they're not even paying attention. Just some of the wide receivers coming through. So yeah, anytime you're fading the Elks defense, you're in a good spot. A couple Formula One. Actually, there's one way to play the Formula One race that I actually really like. So Max Verstappen's got a 10-grid penalty coming. He's changing engines. And I really think that leaves Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri as the overwhelming favorites here. So and Lando Norris is plus 150, Piastri is plus 285. I think you could take both of them and end up cashing. I wouldn't settle on one of the McLaren guys because you had the drama in the last race where Norris gets out ahead of Piastri due to team orders, and then they tell him to pull over, and it got very dramatic, and they kind of owe Lando Norris a win here for him pulling over. But I would just take McLaren to win this. I'm not sure Mercedes is going to have the speed the entire race to win. The weather looked bad at the beginning of the week, but now it's looking a little bit better for the race. So I think McLaren at plus money is a pretty good way to play the Formula One race. We'll take a look at qualifying, though. And Andrew, volleyball, always been a passion of yours, but we've got Olympic volleyball here. Are there any ways to play Olympic volleyball? Like teams you're looking at, players you're looking at? What's the strategy for Olympic volleyball?
I'm super excited, Andy. I gave out some futures on WagerTalk today. It starts in the early hours of Saturday morning, so pumped up for it. And look, you'd like it, Andy, because you're the master at finding ways to avoid laying these prices with using props, right? Whether it's on a player or whether it's on a game. And as I'm sure you're aware, volleyball betting is pretty much the same as tennis, the way it works with your betting games, sets or your points, total points all together. So what I've liked to do, looking at this for the most part, looking at the games for tomorrow, because on match day 1, there's just a lot of heavy favorites. I'm either looking at totals or I'm looking at exact sets, the way that things will pan out here. So Italy-Brazil takes place early morning on Saturday here. And, for me, I like the over as far as the points are concerned at 180.5. And if you take a look, you have the ability to actually bet exact score to be 3-1. And that's what I think is going to happen. I think Italy wins this one 3-1. I think we get 4 very, very competitive sets, which push us over the 180.5 points. But Italy gets rewarded. And if you take a look at the price there, for them to win the match is minus 250. The minus 1.5 sets is minus 130. Over 3.5 is minus 200. You take the exact score to be 3-1. You're getting up there in the plus 200 range. So I really like that one. And then I'll tell you what, Andy. I mean, if you're looking for a parlay piece for the weekend, you have to look no further than the Poland versus Egypt matchup. But I'm sure you don't want to lay minus 4,800. So the best way to go with that one, I know this isn't a prop necessarily, we're going to go under 130.5 games. This is tomorrow morning. I really, really like this play. They're opening up the tournament with the number 1 seed, number 1 ranked volleyball team in the world against the number 10 team. And the thing is with Poland, their blockers are insane. Nothing gets by them. It could be a roll shot. It could be the hardest hit possible. They're so structured. They're so organized. And their defense behind them know exactly the right lanes to be in. So, take a look at this, Andy. Under 3.5 sets is minus 475. Minus 2.5 sets, of course, minus 475. Minus 4,800 is the money line. But you can take under 130.5 games just for all 3 sets to be an absolute onslaught. And that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. So I'm just taking the under in that one. That one should be a 3-0, absolutely. And the other one was kind of the Japan and Germany, where I do like the minus 1.5 sets for Japan. So again, you can look at the exact score to be 3-1 for Japan. I think if you play the exact score 3-1 and 3-1 in both Brazil and Italy and Japan and Germany, you come out on top and you're getting the plus money. For anybody out there betting Olympics, you can make money by not being afraid to bet chalk. Look at the archery. Look at some of these sports where it's swimming. People are betting. You find a favorite, and again, you can make some money with it. But I will tell you, if you're betting for the long term, like for me, Andy, you're not going to see me betting minus 195 on Italy when I can take the minus 1.5, or I can bet the over on games because I'm in it for the long haul. So this is the only sport I'm handicapping with my clients. These will be client plays, and it starts tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Eastern. I can't wait.
I had no idea that Egypt even had a volleyball team. So that's kind of one of those things where that's a pretty big surprise. So I love it, man. I love it. Finding some of these early. It's kind of like when a tennis tournament starts and you can play the big favorites, and then as the later the tennis tournament goes, you're like, yeah, I'm going to lay off. Now you get the better players playing each other. So I love it, man. And Andrew, you've been talking about you've volleyball is one of your sports, man. Ever since I've known you, you've talked about it. So I absolutely trust you. I love the way you're playing that Poland and Egypt game. So one more time, tell everyone about the special that you and Don Buster have up at WagerTalk.
Yeah, all of our plays in the CFL, the rest of the season in one package. So you purchase it at either Buster's page or my page. You're going to get every CFL bet that we release for the remainder of the season. Buy one, get one for free. Sides, totals, the occasional props, first half plays, futures, every single play that we both release in the CFL at one price. It expires August 5th, so it's only available for a limited time. And of course, if you're not interested in that, make sure to use the coupon code and make sure you take advantage of the 25% off Fill Your Cart Day here at WagerTalk, guys. Whether you want to get a 3-day, whether you want to get a 7-day, 30-day, so many great deals, so many guys on great runs right now at WagerTalk, and that Fill Your Cart special is a great one, Andy.
Love it. I've got a 5% best bet that is up at WagerTalk, 9-2 run over the last 11 weeks. And we've got UFC 304 plays up as well. Take advantage of that. 25% off Fill Your Cart Day. Take advantage. It's good for all handicappers. That 5% play is up at my page, wt.buzz/AL. That's going to do it for us, guys. Thanks very much for joining us. Don't forget to hit the like button. Leave us a comment. Tell us what props you're liking for the weekend. Don't forget to subscribe, get notified on all of our videos that are coming up. We're starting to put out NFL content. NFL team previews are out. We've got some player prop season futures coming up as well. So make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the bell to get notified when all those videos come out on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Thanks very much. Good luck on all your bets, and we will see everyone next time on Props and Parlays Today.